You're watching The Breakdown exclusively at ATV.ca and A Sports Extra. Brent Lail along with Norman James. This is the 150th anniversary episode or something in that ballpark. The Western Mustangs celebrating 29, the CCH Crusaders celebrating 19. We're talking about championships. Brent, you were at the 103rd Yates Cup. What an absolute thriller. Western pulling it off in the dying seconds. Your thoughts on the big game?
Well, it was nerve-wracking coming down the end, and I wasn't even playing in the game. I can only imagine being a member of the GGs or Mustangs at that time. What a drive, minute 14 to go. Donnie Marshall gets the ball back, down by 2 points, and I'm not sure a lot of people had confidence that he was a guy that could lead a game-winning drive a la Brett Favre or John Elway or someone like that. But you know what? They took their time, showed a lot of poise, just took what the defense gave them, and gradually moved down the field, first down after first down, and set it up for the kick, which was, as clutch as you can get.
Lirim Hajrullahu. Try to say that name 5 times fast. A lot of people are attempting it, and even if they get it wrong, it doesn't matter. The man is an absolute sports hero. A 35-yard field goal to win the title for his team. Now, let's talk a little bit about Donnie Marshall, who helped facilitate the Lirim Hajrullahu kick. I believe that even with the season behind him, his first as a starter for the Mustangs, he arrived on that series of plays, setting his team up for the field goal. He arrived as a star in this league.
For sure, and he seems to thrive on the national stage. Whenever there's been a game on national TV, minus the semi-poor performance against Mac in the semifinal, he has come out to play. And, he's stepped it up, and a a lot of people didn't believe that when
was
Mike
huge,
Fultz...
though, Brent. That was absolutely huge. He had to do that.
For sure, he had
and he
to.
Did it.
And he did it exactly right. He showed as much poise as a guy who's been in the league, or any league for years. He was fantastic in that last drive, and like you said, it was his coming out party. He is now here, and who's to say he's not the guy that's going to lead them past Laval to the Vanier Cup? He's been that good.
The UTEC Bowl is the next game happening at the Pepsi Stadium in Quebec. The place is going to be raucous. It's going to be tough for the Western Mustangs to pull off a win over Laval. But, the Rouge et Or, for as great as they are winning an 8th straight Dunsmore Cup, they had their hands full with Sherbrooke. So I don't think any team is completely far and away dominating and dominant over their peers. I believe the Mustangs are going to be the underdogs going into the UTEC Bowl, but never say never. Greg Marshall's crew has surprised many people this year, and maybe they have another surprise in them.
When you have a defense as good as the Mustangs have, as many star players as they have on defense, right through the middle with Mike Van Preyt and Jason Kosick and John Surla behind to Craig Butler, these guys make plays, and when your defense is that good and your running game is that good, you can control the clock on offense and you can make stops on defense. And Greg Marshall's MO is run the football, play good defense, and not be afraid to go for it on third down. And so far, in the past 8 straight Yates Cups as a head coach, he's had some pretty good success. Yeah. So there's no reason to ever doubt a Greg Marshall coach team in any game, because how could you?
Craig Butler, the OUA Special Teams Player of the Week. The Offensive Player of the Week is Jeremy Hipperson, and Lirim Hajrullahu thrown in there for good measure. Actually, Lirim's the Special Team Player of the Week, and Craig Butler, the Defensive Player of the Week. It only makes sense they're all a member of the Yates Cup champion Western Mustangs. Greg Marshall, 17 Yates Cups to his credit, but the man has never won the Vanier Cup. To get by Laval, it's going to take a monumental effort. If you mentioned the defense, but what else does Western have to do to go into the Hornets' nest that will be Pepsi Stadium in Quebec City and come back with a victory and another ticket to return to Quebec in a week's time?
They need to run the football, and like you said, Jeremy Hipperson and Nathan Riva are the two-headed monster. These guys are fantastic, but Dan Duff, if he's healthy enough to play blocking in front of him, their O-line is solid, their running game is fantastic. As long as Donnie Marshall doesn't make too many mistakes and just lets the rest of the guys take care of everything and just do his job, it's just that's where he could get into trouble if they try to throw the football and he tries to make too many plays, and that could cost him.
So run the ball.
Yeah, just run it.
Just run it.
Make them stop you. Just keep running it until they can stop you.
You mentioned that Donnie Marshall should be a 200 pass yard guy, a 100 rushing yard kind of guy. Should we reverse that if we're going forward here? Maybe Donnie doesn't throw for that many yards, but runs it a whole lot more, and he'll stay safe that way? Or do you think Laval will adjust to what Donnie's trying to do and basically put a brick wall?
I think in the Canadian game, he has to throw it no matter what anyway. So to get 200 yards means he's been very efficient. He doesn't, the way that Jeremy Hipperson and Nathan Riva were running the football, he didn't have to do much running in that game. He just handed it off and let these guys just go straight ahead. And, it'll be tough tough to do it against Laval because they're really, really good, but maybe they're ripe for the pickings.
Well, last week was championship week here at A News, so this is championship week part 2. The Mustangs still alive. The CCH Crusaders, 19-7 winners over STA to claim the London City High School football championship. The boy pulls it off, making the old man proud, who, by the way, made that game, took a red-eye flight from Ottawa to London and was there to see his son, Jean-Paul Cercelli, win his first title as head coach of the CCA Crusaders. And I say boy with all due respect because he's the son to the father, who is an absolute legend. And, you know, when it's all said and done, JP looks like he's going to carve out a pretty stellar coaching career for himself. He's off to a good start.
Yeah, I like how he says he's just the keeper of this program for now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which, you know, the program has been there. It's going to be here after him. He's just the guy holding down the fort right now, and he's a pretty good coach.
What is it about JP, real quick, Brent? Like, what does he just have that championship pedigree? Has his dad given him a lot of knowledge that he's able to continue with this team, or is there something new about him? Does he bring something special to this team?
I think a lot of it's up here with him.
Yeah.
He's a really intelligent guy. He's been a smart football player his whole life. He's played at university at the highest levels. He's been there, done that. He's watched the CCH program grow through him as a player onto past him as a player, now back to him as a coach. And he surrounds himself with great people. And I think he's just, like you said, he's the keeper of the program, but I think he's a little bit more than that.
And the Mustangs and Crusaders have a long history linked together. Of course, Mike Cercelli, a coach with the Mustangs and a mentor now to the CCH Crusaders. We'll see how far they can go. Brent, thanks for your time. I'm Norm James. We'll see you back on the 200th anniversary episode of The Breakdown in 7 days' time.